Welcome back to Good Day. It's time for Mother Knows Best. Thank you all for coming out, even though the weather's better today, but it was kind of crazy yesterday. It's still cold, though. Today, we're talking about potty training. Now, huge deal. So, let's start off first. When do you know it's time to start potty training?
Well, first of all, it's time not to start like right now. Okay, when it's cold out, just put the diapers on. It doesn't matter if the kid's 4 years old. Don't even try it.
Good point.
Normally your kids give you a signal, you know, that they're ready. My daughters, I remember my middle daughter, she was really bad about going behind the couch and having her own private poo session.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was,
Don't
that
mention
was,
names, which one?
yeah, I'm not gonna call it. But I mean, she just wanted privacy all of a sudden.
Even with the diaper, when they're still wearing the diapers, they'll start doing that.
Exactly. Or if they come out of the room with no diapers on. And I mean, because that was I'm just glad to be past that stage, but they would come out and they just, you know, they just come out free like the Rugrats. You remember the Rugrats? And so usually they give you that indicator right then when they want, or they'll pull at their diaper. They'll tell you.
And it's different for each child. Every child, I mean, that's one of the things that used to bother me when I would hear people pressuring parents. So your child's 2 and they're not potty trained. Well, different children make different progress, and the more you put stress around it, the less successful you're going to be.
And be prepared for setbacks too. I know with my oldest, I thought, oh, he's potty trained. This is great. And then I thought, then of course, you know, we had some things going on in the family, and especially if, you know, if there's some trouble or stress going on, that'll make them revert. But I remember the first time he, you know, had an accident, and I thought, oh my goodness, you know, what's it? I just kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
Did it take your boys longer to potty train? Did it
Yes.
Mine too.
How about, like, what's the time span of how long it actually takes?
I think, again, it depends per child. And I know my daughter's watching, and Kayla always did things in her own time, our granddaughter, Nicole's daughter. And she was taking a little while to potty train, and so do y'all remember Sixlets? They're little candies that came in a little cellophane sleeve with 6 little bitty chocolate candies, right? And so Grandma came up with the idea of every time you go use the big girl potty, you can have a Sixlet. Well, she was at first just going to sit and then running out and saying, Grandma, you know. I said, no, there has to be something in the potty, and then you get the Sixlet, and it maybe took 2 days. Once she started, I started bribing her.
I also found that my younger ones went faster because they want to be like the bigger ones.
Yes,
you know,
that's true.
My first one took a long time.
Kayla was the first one too.
Well, with my daughters, they were so happy to be in the big girl undies. You know, they had the little design, and I think it was the Little Mermaid during that time when they had all the little designs and everything. So they were. Now my son, he could have cared less. You know, so it took a minute with him, because if he was watching TV or playing a game,
He wants to be bothered.
he didn't want to. And I was like, well, TJ, why didn't you come to I watching TV? You know, so it was a little longer, but really with them, the first time they soiled in their big girl underwear was the last time. They didn't want to do it anymore. They didn't like the wetness, but the boys, they don't care.
That's all right.
No.
Well, how do you think you get started? And I know, you know, there's probably different theories and different, you know, for everybody, but what are some ways that you found have been really successful?
Well, I mean, I joked about the cold weather, but seriously, all my kids I started in the summer because you can kind of have a minimum of clothes on. You know, sometimes we'd spend the whole day outside. You know, I just make a big picnic, and you know, we'd make a big day and have as few clothes on as possible. So if there was an accident, it wasn't a big deal. You know, just make it a low pressure, fun kind of thing.
Well, I know the kids too. They love the little potty training pants that they get the little symbols on.
See, we didn't have those back in the day.
But they loved that, the fact that they had their own potty. And even though some parents don't like that, sometimes my girls went to the bathroom with me. And so that was, you know, because they so much want to be like mama.
Right.
And then even my son with his dad, and it was just, that was the best example.
We're going to be back in just a moment to hear more of potty training theories. Stay with us. Are back with more Mother Knows Best, talking about potty training today. And so we want to talk about the logistics. How does it actually work? Do you just pick them up and sit them on the toilet, or what do you actually do to get them to know how you do it?
I did in the beginning. You know, I'd say, okay, you know, let's TT in the potty, and made up songs, and then after a while they went and they climbed up on the little booster thing that comes with the party, and they got up there. But in the beginning, of course, yeah, you got to kind of show them what to do. And then a lot of times kids these days are so smart. I mean, if your child is barged in you on the bathroom, which most parents have experienced, that, you know, they'll know to get up and hop up on the potty.
Yeah. Or you can have a smaller size for them, you know, like I did that with my girls, and we'd go to the potty together. It's kind of a girl thing.
Yeah, and with boys, because you know, you make it fun and interesting. You can take like Fruit Loops and throw few Fruit Loops in the toilet and tell them, okay, see if you can hit the Fruit Loops. And that way you're keeping it in the bowl instead of all over your bathroom, because that is an issue when you're potty training boys.
Yes. And it's food, so that appeals to the boys.
Yes.
But you know what, though? One of my most difficult things with TJ was in the beginning, I was trying to sit him on the potty, and he knows Daddy does not sit.
Right.
And can you imagine trying to make a child sit down and he's making his legs straight, you know, because he wanted to stand up.
Right.
But
Like
he hadn't
Daddy.
quite grasped the whole thing, and you know, I was like, Travis, you know, because you know, in the beginning, boys do need to sit, and they even have the little potties for boys with the
little
inserts,
cups.
with the cups and everything. But he did not want to sit; he wanted to stand, and it was a mess in the beginning.
So maybe you think husbands can kind of help out if you have
Yes.
boys.
Oh, this is a great time
Help,
for dads.
Cuddies, help.
Yes, you need
Yes.
to. That's your
in,
job.
plug in here.
Let us do the girls, you do the boys.
You do the boys.
There you
Deal.
go. That's a good idea. Well, what about if they have mess ups along the way? Do you actually discipline for that, or what do you do?
Well, I think, I mean, generally speaking, no, you know, because you don't want to make it a battle.
Right.
But I think we were talking during the break, you know, you have to know your child. Sometimes there are issues, like you had one, right, that they're just lazy, or it's even a rebellion kind of thing.
I did. I got to the point now with one of my children, we found out that their kidneys were smaller, so they couldn't hold, you know, their TT as long as, you know, they were supposed to. With another one of my children, which I'm pretty sure everybody in TV land will be able to figure it out. It was just, I just don't want to do it, you know. And then, I mean, he would. Oh, well.
Oops. This child.
But it was just one of those things where he just was rebelling. He didn't want to do it. If he was watching TV or playing a game or eating, and then the thing about he'd send me over there, okay, Mama, you know.
Oh.
That was not going to work. Not with this.
Gonna
Not with this, Mama. So you have to know your child. You have to know when they're just rebelling and when they can't help it.
And if it continues to be a problem, I would say, just from what I remember of my child development that I learned, is at the age of 3, or maybe even before, you know, have an ongoing conversation with your pediatrician, because there could be an issue with the kidneys. There could be something physically that is causing your child not to be able to potty train. And your pediatrician can also give you some good tips and hints and things like that.
Yeah, bed pads though become your best friends. They have the bed mates now. They didn't make those
They
on my
didn't have
kids.
those in the day.
No, bed mates that you can put in to protect your gosh, my poor mattresses. We had to get new mattresses, but they had the bed mates, and I want to tell parents, please do not pressure your children to potty train because you're ready to pay off a bill by not paying for diapers anymore.
Yes,
because it's not fair to the child to do that. Of course, it gets to a point where you have to, you know, be firm and disciplined, but be patient. It's going to take a lot of patience.
Yeah, that's right.
How about if you've kind of gotten them potty trained, you think everything's good to go, and then all of a sudden they revert back to hiding it in the corner, you know, just all these things.
How about you wake up and go to check on your child, and this child will remain unnamed, and the diaper is off, and everything that was in the diaper is finger painted on the wall.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
One of
What
them
did you
did.
do?
I will not say which one did that, but they did. And you talk about really having to breathe deeply, and you know, because that is not fun.
feeling my blood pressure
But that happens, you know,
I know,
because
I
kids are like,
They
oh,
will do that. I mean,
yeah. So, you know, and you're going to have accidents. And I remember my mom, there was a family story always that I had just gotten potty trained, and they put me in my beautiful little Easter dress with my beautiful little ruffle panties, and I had my first accident that day, of course. So it's always going to happen when you
Yeah.
you know,
It's not a good
it's the
time.
worst
Yeah.
absolute time to happen.
Plus, if there's some stress or change going on, you know, be aware that that might be a time that something's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And baths in warm water. I don't know what that was for my
Oh
children.
yeah.
Yeah.
That helps make them go?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In the
In
bathtub.
Usually in the water.
Yeah.
Usually in the water. But I mean,
And that's fun to
Instant
clean too.
accidents.
I did not.
I hope nobody's eating breakfast right now. I really
We'll be
do.
back in just a moment with more.
We're going to change the topic.
Welcome back to Good Day. We're at Mother Knows Best right now, and we're talking about, we were just talking about potty training. You'll have to watch it online if you want to know what they had to say about that. Now we're talking about athleticism in high school. First up, let's talk about, you know, those parents who are really pushing their kids super hard, or they're kind of living through their kids and thus pushing them really hard. How do you deal with those types of parents, or are you those types of parents? Do you think that's good? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my daughter just made the track team, so this is going to be my first time as a sports mom, you know, but we've had, you know, to deal with issues like that in the past with clubs and competitions and so forth. And I think you need to prepare your child that is always going to be that next person, that next student or student's parent who's going to be trying to get the one up on you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I definitely do not stand for that. I hate, there's nothing wrong with a little, you know, healthy competition.
Right.
But I can't stand it when people get to the point where they're trying to push over the next person
Right.
so that they can be the first one. And my problem right now with my daughter is that she pushes herself too hard. Sometimes that I feel like as a mom, because she's
Any kind of
constantly
outside pushing will be
extra,
yeah,
and I'm not going
right.
to do that to her. You know, I want her to know that if you win, great, but if you didn't, you tried, so you're still a winner.
We had
And
a parent, oh my goodness, my kids were in 7-year-old baseball. And we actually had a parent on that team who called her son, this is a 7-year-old boy, her retirement plan.
Wow.
Because this kid was going to get, was great baseball player, going to go to the major leagues, and this is how I'm retiring. Can you
Oh my
imagine a
goodness.
7-year-old?
That's a lot of pressure.
And you know
Yeah.
what scares me about that? And you know, I did so much with brain injury with shaken babies, so I kind of involved in the whole brain injury thing. And you see more and more of the older football players coming out now and saying, yeah, I do have, I can't, you know, no short-term memory because of the concussions and the hits that I took. And you know, just think how you'd feel if you really pushed your kid to do that.
yeah.
I know.
And because it happens. I mean, kids get hurt all the time in those games, so that's really scary to me. I used to be a team mom, and my kids played soccer and they played football, and Nicole cheered. And I finally became the cheerleader. When she started being a cheerleader, I was the coach or whatever you want to call it. Loved working with the girls. We'd have sleepovers at the house. It was great. The parents, probably 80% of them were a nightmare. And after we would start, when we would pick captains and co-captains, the other team coaches would come to help pick, because obviously I couldn't pick my own because my daughter was on the team. But because my daughter was so talented, she got picked as co-captain. And the other moms on the team got so mad because they swore it was because she was my daughter.
Yeah.
And I had absolutely nothing to do in the process. But that's just how, you know, it goes. And it's like, guys, aren't we here to teach our kids about, you know, being a team and working together and all of those good lessons? And there's a lot of parents that aren't on that wavelength.
well, see, there should be a code of conduct for parents.
I agree.
You know, I think every coach, every teacher, everybody should that has something that's going on with their students, they need to develop a code of conduct for the parents, for them to sign saying that I understand that if such and such happens, that I'm possibly, you know, prohibiting my child from playing or me from being able to be there, because it does have, you've seen the videos that they have on TV of parents fighting at games.
One man was killed in New Jersey.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, a man was killed in New Jersey in a fight. I think it was like maybe 11 or 12-year-old boys playing football. I don't really remember. It's been a couple of years ago, and he went into a coma and he died from a fight.
Was a dad?
He was a dad.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we
so-
introduced our kids to the idea of personal best, the concept of, because that's real. I mean, that's something that'll serve them the rest of their life too. That they're not competing against, even necessarily competing against the other team. I mean, of course, you want to do well, and you know, who doesn't like to win? But I mean, that's not the end game, you know. And you're not competing against your teammates. It's not, you know, you're on the same side. But you always want to do, at the end of the game, ask yourself, did I do better today than I did last
That's very
time?
good.
Or what did I do that I
like
can
that.
improve on for my next game? And just keep it focused. I know, that saying is not about you, but I think when you're talking about team sports and being that crazy kind of competitive thing, it is a good thing to look at. It is about you. It's developing your skills and what you can do better, how you can be a better teammate. How can I encourage my teammates better, rather than getting the
claws
claws
out.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I was one that was out there yelling and screaming and clapping, and I
me
was
too.
probably
There's
one of the
nothing wrong with
loudest
that.
ones there. But it was always positive.
Right. Yes.
Always positive.
That's
Yeah,
called being
definitely.
a proud parent. Yeah.
We're going to be back in just a moment with more about athleticism in high school. Stay with us. Welcome back to Good Day. We're back talking about being an athlete in high school. We left off now kind of talking about the parents and how crazy they can act sometimes. But how do you help your child to enjoy being in sports and still not have that affect their academics and make sure they're still keeping up with their homework and their school progress?
Well, I think first you have to not let them overload themselves or not overload them. They probably can't take music lessons and run track and play volleyball and keep their schoolwork up. So it kind of has to be okay, let's pick what you really want. Let's look at the time commitment and make sure this is going to work, and still leave time for you to have some fun and family time and those kind of things. Because I see, kids that just every day they're running to something, and I don't know how they could possibly keep their academics up while they're doing that.
Yeah. With Brianna, she could not do any type of extracurricular activity like that until she could prove to us that she could handle keeping her grades up on top of that. And so this year she finally found her niche for it. Some parents just kind of throw their kids into it knowing that they can't handle both of them because they played football in school or they were a cheerleader in school. But this year she did so good. She's an honor student, and she was able to get in there, and she knows her balance when she comes home from school. If she has, she has practice after school now, but when she comes on, she knows to do her homework. She knows that she has to stay on top with her chores because, she's getting ready to graduate in a little bit, and she's got to know how to be able to handle all of the extra responsibility that's what comes. That was going to be with being a young adult, and we managed that. Thank God for Parent Portal and all these extra ways that you can keep in contact with your kid's teacher about their grades and what's going on. But if you know that your child can't handle it, if you do a test trial and they cannt handle that, don't let them do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and sometimes it does take a test trial. I mean, telling kids, well, you can try this sport this year. We'll see how this first semester goes. And then give them the tools they need to learn time management too. We introduced a few years ago the planner. And I worked with my kids. It's not a genetic thing you know how to do.
That's good. So kind of teach them how to use it.
Yeah, and we tell them we do limit our activities too. They can have one athletic and one non-athletic activity, and that's so they have to think about what they want to do.
Good.
Yeah.
What if they are very good at the sport and they want to continue on into college? How do you help them out with that?
Just study up on it. I thank God for my babies. Now they do take out the test. I'm not bragging on myself, but I like the research. And Brianna, she does the research. All of my kids do. They would go online and do the research, and just kind of stay in tune with the coaches and the teachers and the colleges. She's looking into colleges, and she's looking at the different opportunities that they have there and the different classes and courses and the teams that they have there, and she's weighing her options. So be involved when your children come to you and ask you, Mom, I'm looking at this. Even if they don't say anything, go over there and look and see what they're doing, and just ask them questions. Sometimes they want you to just show that you're interested without them having to ask you
if you're proactive and do a little bit of research, you can have a conversation with them rather than just listening, and they'll be like, oh, how do you know? It kind of encourages them that you are interested and involved.
But also remember, there's only so many kids that get scholarships or make it.
Exactly.
So
be realistic.
you do, and I think it's always important to have a plan B,
Exactly.
or maybe even plan A, and that's plan B. But to have another plan, because it's so competitive to get into college sports, and unless you're really, really, really good, you're not gonna probably make it.
Very good thoughts. Well, real quick, what about the coach of the sports team? How do you know that they're treating the kids in a good way?
Well, when Brianna was conditioning, I just came out there and nobody knew who I was, and I just kind of watched him from a distance. I wanted to see how he interacted with the kids, how he talked to them, how he was firm with them, and I was impressed. And then my husband came with me a few times later, and we watched. And what impressed me the most, and this is something that you don't get from a lot of people, he didn't know who we were, but he came to us and he introduced himself. And when Brianna came up to us afterwards and everything, he introduced himself and everything, and you know, he asked if we had any questions, if you know we needed anything. So that in itself was impressive. Yeah.
Well, what should you do, you think, if you find out that there's something not right going on real quick with the sports teacher?
Go to the coach.
Yeah, start with the coach.
Yeah.
And if you don't
And
get
then just keep going up the ladder
Yep.
until you get where you need to get and don't stop.
Very good.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
All right.
And I
Thank
can
you
squeak.
ladies so much. Some wonderful thoughts this morning. We're going to be back in the morning at 5 a.m. Have a great Thursday.